It is very ironic and sad, and I've been speaking and writing on this subject for 3 decades, that under our very noses, our already mammoth pendency of 3.5 crores has now reached over 5.5 crores. While each one of us has been sermonizing, seminarizing, speaking, writing reports, setting up committees, as a very wise wag put it, a committee is a group of the unfit appointed by the unwilling to do the unnecessary.
You made some very important points in your opening remarks. You talked about the need for judicial reforms. Enforcement of contracts is one of the things that fuel ease of doing business. It is not great in India. Like, what does India need to do to reform and make enforcement of contracts easier?
Well, it's a much larger question of reforms in the administration of justice. But in the limited time, I think it's vital to go for the very important virtues in any legal system, the virtues of predictability, certainty, security. And that cannot happen unless there is a timeline on everything. It is very ironic and sad, and I've been speaking and writing on this subject for 3 decades, that under our very noses, our already mammoth pendency of 3.5 crores has now reached over 5.5 crores. While each one of us has been sermonizing, seminarizing, speaking, writing reports, setting up committees, as a very wise wag put it, a committee is a group of the unfit appointed by the unwilling to do the unnecessary. So, under our noses, this has happened. Now, unless you do it and let me tell you, this is not an insurmountable problem. Most of these areas will go like a pack of cards. But you need a consistency of purpose. You need a 5-year plan between 5 Chief Justices. They can agree to disagree on a lot of other issues, but they must agree that these 10 things we agree on and implement that. And most of these areas will go away. But that is one part. The other is that the artery of the legal system is so clogged that you need to not only push the things along that artery, but also to declog it by what is now we have a brand new act, mediation. Till now, alternative dispute resolution has worked only for a particular category of smaller matters, not for the big corporate disputes which Satyan may have or which Sunil may have. Now you have a spanking new excellent act. If we bring in the mediation culture, one major way would be to declog the arteries of 5.5 crore cases, is to take a chunk out and subject them to much shorter, quicker mediation, because the original ADR, the original alternative dispute resolution, was arbitration, which has failed completely because arbitration has become what somebody rightly said is pre-litigation litigation. So you need to do these things and you need to do it consistently. And unfortunately in our country, everybody wants to leave a stamp and therefore there are knee-jerk, mid-course corrections. You need to give it 5-year push on 1 or 2 or 5 things and it will start showing results.
Do you have a view on the reform that has now allowed foreign law firms to operate in India?
Well, I think that was an idea whose time had come a long time ago. It is quite often misunderstood as being flooded with foreign lawyers. Let me assure you that 99% of foreign lawyers you meet have no joy and pride in coming and appearing in courts with us in Indian courts. That's a misconception. It's been a series of, reasons for it, both vested and non-vested interests. But I think it's for the good. I think it is a more efficient way of doing it. But it'll take at least 4 or 5 years before that culture entrenches. So you'll have more efficient. In fact, if it really goes well, it will increase both the employment and the earnings of Indian lawyers, because most of these firms will use them. But that's not going to solve our endemic indigenous problem, which is arrears, which has a multitude of factors, starting with appointments and delayed appointments.
Are you hopeful? And you're absolutely right when you say that there has been no dearth of commissions, reports. When it comes to judicial reforms, police reforms, administrative reforms, there have been numerous reports, commissions. So there is no dearth of recommendations, knowledge, body of knowledge in with regard to what needs to be done. Are you hopeful that, and I'm not minimizing the, how big a task and how complex a task it is. A lot of it needs reforms of acts, parliament to move, etc. But are you hopeful that things will improve substantially?
Well, of course, I am hopeful, and I don't think we have much of an option except to be optimistic while being realistic. We can't be pessimistic about this. But I don't think it's such an insurmountable problem, frankly. I think that if, just 5-7 things are taken up and all the 3 organs focus on them and bit of shedding of egos, bit of more cooperation, a large chunk of this can be managed. I mean, tell me one reason why. I know the retirement age of every judge who's sitting here from the day he's appointed 10 years ago. A simple rule of appointing his successor a week before he retires, and you'll get away with this 33% vacancies, this 25% vacancies. It's like saying that you have spanking new hospitals and equipment, medical equipment, but no doctors. So how can you deal with patients? So these are things which you need to address. And frankly, I believe that if this audience, which is 90% a non-law audience, 95% a lay audience, were told to select appointments to the bench, blindfolded and going across 10 high courts within a month, they would all be able to do it because everybody knows who are the eligible ones. So what we do is we select the appointees and then we start disappointing them instead of appointing them. So this is the kind of politics which has to stop. Of course, along with technology is a big thing, aggregation of cases, subject-wide disposal, mass disposals, evening courts. There's a whole lot of things, but you need to take 10 of them and implement them with a unity of purpose and a focus, which sadly has been missing at several levels. Sometimes the bureaucracy, sometimes other sectors.